Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
St. Louis. There's something strange with people who live here. I moved here a while ago, and it hit me instantly how weird people act. My friends say it's just typical Midwestern aloofness, but it feels like much more of an ailment. Everyone here seems to be in their own little world. I find many people here are incredibly passive-aggressive in an almost psychotic way. When you read about how violent people are in St. Louis, you probably just assume it's the usual inner-city folk, but everyone here has a short fuse. Road rage is horrible, even more the pandemic and all that followed. I read about some sort of murder killing sometimes weekly. At my job, it seems like everyone originally from the area has god-awful memory problems and disorientation that strike me as similar to some kind of dementia. I think it will come to light within the next 10 to 20 years. Could be some sort of widespread lead poisoning or some other chemicals. Maybe some sort of malady that was intentional. I just know I'm not alone in noticing it.
OP, you're onto something. I've traveled extensively across the country for work and lived in a handful of states. There's something just off about St. Louis, and I can't put my finger on it. No, it's not shitty in the way every major city in the US is, and no, it's not because of insert flyover state, Rust Belt, or shitty Midwestern state. Even Kansas City and other Midwestern cities don't have this weird aura. Every time I go to that shithole, I feel like I'm in an uncomfortable fever dream. The whole city is falling apart. Even the nice areas are complete dumps, yet everyone there seems to think nothing's wrong. I went to a grocery store in the suburbs and felt less safe than a lot of the legitimately dangerous neighborhoods of Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, and so on. Everyone there seems to either be on the verge of murder-suicide or so detached from reality they don't know they're alive. St. Louis has no redeeming characteristics, crumbling infrastructure, and an overall horrible atmosphere. I swear I get a headache every time I'm there. Anyone who is visiting there from out of state immediately notices something is strange about it. Yet the NPCs who live there will be like, "Yeah, well, we have an aquarium. What do you mean it's shitty? We have Arch?" The whole goddamn place feels like it had a Chernobyl-type disaster, but kept on running without anybody noticing. It's either haunted as shit, heavily poisoned, some kind of MK Ultra experiment, or a hologram. There's no way nothing is going on there.
I've been through there by train a couple times, sensing something off every time. My theory is that it probably has something to do with the Cahokia Mounds. In the 1800s, several mounds were flattened and built over when the city expanded, and it's likely this either released something or pissed something off. Chicago has a similar bad vibe. You don't have that long of a history of bloodshed without echoes building up. The difference I sensed, however, is that Chicago seems spiritually tainted but inactive, whereas what's in St. Louis is actively aware and non-human in origin, perhaps a malevolent genius loci or similar.
I lived in Austin, Texas for exactly 8 months, and got out as fast as possible due to everything you described. I think many parts of the West Coast and Midwest are like this, because even when I watch YouTube videos made by people in certain states now, I see the exact same set of insane behaviors. They laugh about running people into the medians on the highway due to not letting people merge. Their highways are 70 miles per hour minimum. Some places 75 miles per hour, and people are going 120 miles per hour. There's significant damage when cars wreck, as they call it there. People die like that every day, and they sit there mechanically laughing about it in conversations they have. They boast about some redneck they ran into the median over a bumper sticker, tee-hee-hee, bet his ass died. They're not from the state. That's Austin bullshit. Everyone acts like this. They also boast about running over dogs and their friends hydroplaning into ditches. They love pit bulls. They all own them, poorly trained, attack you on sight, which they laugh about. So it's not based on the breed. There's stray dogs all over here. They also mock Southern values and want good, wholesome Southern marriages. But then start talking in depth about sleeping with someone at a truck stop and gas station last weekend. I don't understand how so many of them talk in detail about their casual hookup experiences in places like Walmart bathrooms. It is genuinely all of them. They then freak out over not wanting a child and trying to dodge child support if one of those said hookups gets pregnant. Austin has a major lead pipe problem too, though for that reason everyone claims not to drink tap water, and very high rates of dyslexia in certain areas. There's also a high rate of people on ADHD drugs, and the various downers and uppers for depression and anxiety, it makes their behavior even worse. They'll literally scream in your face, just run up to you, scream, and run away laughing, and not remember it the next day. That came off as jumpy and spurgy because there was so much shit going on there. I don't know how to summarize it all. Look for the behaviors in YouTubers from those areas, and you will see it's in a specific set of states. I'm on X, so I'll also share a paranormal part. I've never seen demons wandering around attached to people prior to being in Austin, and I haven't seen it since. I saw demons literally walking behind people, following them. If that makes me schizo, there's something in these states making people schizo.
I moved to St. Louis from Texas in 2017. I've been suffering from brain fog, fatigue, and forgetfulness for a few years now. It's bad. Every time I go to the doctor, they basically tell me it's all in my head and nothing is wrong with me. If it's something in the water, then I hope the reverse osmosis system I recently installed will help. Before getting the reverse osmosis system, I did some water tests. Newer house, well water. And it came back positive alpha and beta radiation. The groundwater here is somewhat contaminated. Almost all of the houses here are from the 30s and have lead pipes. I don't know what else to blame it on.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, St. Louis is a shithole. That place has one of the highest crime rates in the entire country. Also, the drivers there are some of the worst in the world. Every time I go there, I nearly die because some corporate asshole would rather babble to his cohorts than pay attention to the goddamn road. Also, you have a huge homeless problem, a huge methamphetamine, hard drug problem too. It's really weird, but there's this division in St. Louis. One part is complete shit and destitution. The other part is scummy, but sorta coolish. Downtown. Also, as far as haunts go, I know in my part of the state that things are pretty wild, man. Mormons getting killed on the regular. We actually had a law that legalized the killing of Mormons on site up through the 1980s in Missouri. We had Civil War things, and we had Native American things too, back before the state was becoming more civilized. It's all pretty damn brutal here, dude. Definitely some haunts all over the state.
St. Louis, late 90s, living with my brother in a really old house in the north because the rent was cheap. Normal day, got home from work, grilled dinner because it was nice out, screwed around on the computer, went to bed, could not sleep, stared at the old peeling plaster ceiling, drifted off, but oddly was dreaming I was still staring at the ceiling. Probably fell asleep without closing my eyes. In my dream, a shiny blue eye of Horus floated down from my ceiling and hung over me in bed. Nothing creepy. Just an eye of Horus shape with some depth and a metallic blue texture, like a first experiment with a new render engine or something you would make spin and bounce in a demo. Eye shape floats out my bedroom door and I follow it. It leads me into my backyard and I lay down in the grass and stare up at it again. Eye bounces around and starts sprinkling snowflakes everywhere. I get up and start running around underneath it, and I hate to use the word frolicking, but yeah. Other people, things, eyes, and something shows up. This is kinda lost to the dream fuzziness, but I remember I was no longer alone. Spend the night playing in the backyard in the dream snow with my new friends. Remember floating on the snow like skating on ice, and I couldn't stop and plowed into the grill. That was a weird part in my dream. Something felt wrong, so I said my goodbyes to the snow-dropping eye, and whoever else was out there went back to bed. Woken up the next morning by my brother. WTF were you banging around all night for? I sat up in my bed and just thought for a second. I had not banged around. We went to bed around the same time. Remembered dream. Jumped out of bed, pulled curtains aside. Fence outside is covered in like 3 inches of snow. Brother, where the hell did that come from? Look out the window, St. Louis covered in freak overnight snowstorm. Footprints still partially visible in snow leading from backyard to kitchen door. Grill knocked over. Worst part, I sleep naked.
Heard this story from my good friend from high school. His brother and mom also confirmed to me that the incident happened. His dad refuses to ever talk about it. Friend is 11 or 12 years old. His brother is 2 years younger. Parents are very normal, straight-laced boomers. Family moved to Jefferson County, Missouri, about 30 minutes outside St. Louis, from another state. House is in a secluded area. Big property, with no immediate neighbors. Parents go out one night and leave the boys home alone. Come home a few hours later, walk into the house. 2 tall humanoid creatures are standing in their kitchen, staring at them. Like a cross between gray aliens and humans, both are naked. His mom showed me a crude drawing she made of them. Both parents immediately freak out, run out of the kitchen to look for the boys. Mom finds them in my friend's bedroom. They're playing video games and have no idea what's going on. Dad only left the kitchen for maybe 10 seconds, but the humanoids are gone without a trace. They call police, who come and find no signs of a break-in. They sold the house a couple years later, and nothing else weird ever happened. I've been listening to a lot of old Open Lines episodes of Art Bell era Coast to Coast AM lately, and there are a decent number of callers from Jefferson County who have stories about various paranormal stuff in that area. It's a hot spot for sure.
About 6 months ago, my girlfriend and I moved into an apartment in the Benton Park neighborhood of St. Louis. About 2 weeks after we move in, her grandfather, who raised her, has a stroke, and she ends up going home to Twin Oaks to take care of him. She was living with him full-time until we can find out how to afford a nurse or hospice. Anyway, I'd been living in our 1-bedroom all alone for the last half a year. It's beautiful, newly remodeled, double-paned windows, great insulation. The best a couple of hicks turned yuppies could want. It's got a couple of weird things about it, as you'll see. There's only 4 units in the building, on the 2nd and 3rd floors. We're on the top floor. The first weird thing about the place we noticed right when we moved in. The walls and floors are paper thin. I could hear every word of my downstairs neighbor's conversation at all times. I know when they take a shower, I know when they sleep, and I'm sure they know the same about us. It's weird. The more info we had on each other, the less we wanted to actually know each other. They moved out 6 weeks ago. Then the other 2 units went vacant a week later. It was kind of weird, but also kind of awesome. I could finally stomp around, watch TV, and play Rock Band at full volume. About 4 weeks ago, it got weird. It was about 1 a.m. and I was going to bed, and I started to hear this noise from the empty apartment downstairs. Really quiet at first, but sustained. It sounded halfway between a hushed conversation, with only one person talking and a small motor running. Just a babbling, not quite regular drone. Freaked me out at first, but I rationalized that it was some plumbing or the refrigerator downstairs. Something I'd never heard over my downstairs neighbors farting and snoring. I learned to live with it, as it rose and fell every evening. Pretty soon, a steady tapping sound started in with mumbling. I know it sounds messed up, but when you hear it every night for a while, you just make excuses for it. Then I kept hearing boards creaking. It's spring, my first in this building, so I assumed it was just the old boards under the new drywall settling. Then one night, as I was brushing my teeth, there was a mighty dry thump right behind me. I just about stabbed myself with my toothbrush. I stayed really still till I was sure there wasn't anyone in the house, and then turned on all the lights in the house. This is when I noticed the peculiarity in the remodeling. On the other side of the bathroom where I heard the thump is the hall closet. I open it up and switch on the light, expecting a box to have fallen off the shelves, but it's all gravy inside. I tap on the wall between the closet and the bathroom, and it sounds oddly hollow, and I start to realize that the closet isn't as wide as I think it should be based on the bathroom. I pace it out with my feet, and then a tape measure just to confirm. Sure enough, there's about 30 inches of space in between the 2 walls that I thought were adjacent. Again, rationalization time. Surely there's extra insulation there to keep the bathroom warm, or maybe walls are thicker than I imagined. I've never built a house. So in this one thick wall, some huge rat must have taken a tumble and freaked me out. No big deal. I felt a lot better at the time. Even better when it was the first night in a while without that weird noise below me. So, everything was fine until last Friday night. It's about 2 in the morning and I'm home late from the bar, not as drunk as I want and remembering that I left all my clean laundry in the dryer before I went out. One thing sticks out as I climb the stairs. The door to the apartment below me is closed. It's been open since the neighbors vacated. I got kind of used to seeing an empty mirror image of my place every day when I walked past. Maybe the landlord was showing it to people today. Rationalize, rationalize, rationalize. I bag up a small load of laundry and climb down the back porch steps to the laundry room, which is really just part of the garage, but the staircase is on the outside of the building and it gives each floor a little shared porch. I get down there and into the little room, and I start bagging up all my clothes into this big black duffel bag. 2 things you should know about me at this point. I turn off every light when I leave a room, no matter what. My dad used to beat the shit out of me when the energy bill was a penny over the norm, and I also lock the door every time I go through it. Hell, I even locked the back door when I went down to get my laundry. I start back up the stairs, and on the first flight I look up, straight to my bedroom window. The light is on, and there's a silhouette against the closed blinds. I pissed myself a little and every hair on my neck snapped to attention. And then the light goes out. It happened in less than a second. 10 seconds later, I'm still frozen in place and trying to figure out if I just saw what I think I saw. Rationalization lost out, thank God, and I snuck down the stairs and out through the garage. I called a cab and stood across the street from the building looking at my living room window. About 5 minutes before the cab showed up, the Venetian blinds parted slightly for a few seconds, like someone was looking down on me. Then nothing. I stayed at a hotel that weekend, then a couple of buddies of mine came back with me on Sunday to see how much stuff had been stolen. It was all there. My laptop was still charging, my brand new plasma TV. The doors were locked. I moved it all out that afternoon. While my friends were with me, and I had the daylight on my side, I checked out the apartment below me. The downstairs closet had the same abnormally thick wall, only someone had hammered through this wall, a big round, jagged hole, exposing the tiny crawl space between. And in this space, flat against the wall, was a cheap hardware store ladder, leading up through the darkness to the space behind the walls, in my apartment. I don't know how he got into my apartment from there, maybe through the heating vents in my ceiling. I really don't give a shit. All I care about is never seeing that building again. I mailed my keys to the landlord, told the whole thing to a terminally disinterested cop. Done my part, moving on. Quit my shitty job, which might be the one good thing about this. I'm typing this at a friend's house on his Wi-Fi. I was going to take this convenient time to get out of Dodge and move in with my girlfriend and her grandpa, but he died 2 nights ago. Still think I'd like to head back into the country, but I guess this is like a clean slate for us. I haven't told her yet, and I'm not sure if I will. Told her our landlord went apeshit and kicked me out. She's already got issues with security and I don't want to add to them. But I don't ever want to live in an apartment or hear people moving beneath my feet or on the other side of a wall. Never again.
Be me, be 28, live in the St. Louis area, walking home from work when approached by one ugly dude. Head looked like a goddamn squash, dressed in cheap crap, clean, but cheap and tacky looking. Hey man, give me some money. Guy is clean shaven, well fed, obviously not homeless. Tell him no. Guy gets mad. Says his dad's a lawyer and he's gonna sue me. Ugly dude runs off. Think nothing of it, go home. Next day, same thing. Ugly dude asks for money. Tell him he can piss off. Ugly gets mad, threatens to sue, runs off. He's laughing this time. Go to the cops, ask if there's anything they can do. They say no, but if shit gets violent, then yes. I go home. Next day, walking home from work. Someone runs up and yanks the duffel bag off my shoulder. It's Ugly. Oh no, you didn't .png. Run after him. Ugly drops duffel, laughs, and disappears like a lady of the night. Go to the cops.
They say they'll keep an eye out. Tell me to get a lawyer, find out Ugly's name, get a civil suit going. 2 broke 4 legal action. Go home. Wake up. Shitty house is on fire. Get out, grabbing phone and bag with money from under the mattress. Standing there, looking at my burning home. It was shit, but it was mine.jpg, cry.x. Feel someone walk up to me. It's Ugly. He smacks only belongings out of my hands, looks me in the eye. Last words before he bolts off, laughing. Brazil, Brazil, Hue Hue Hue.
I used to work near a truck stop. Getting a ride to work one day, a truck turns into us. Car flips, can't feel my legs, crawls out the window. The driver of the truck gets out and starts walking towards me. He is well groomed, dressed in business casual clothes, and doesn't look like a trucker. Starts asking me questions that I don't remember. I ignore him. I start sinking into the earth. It's incredibly hot. Cry out in agreement with whatever he's saying. Immediately wake up. My legs feel like they're on fire for a solid minute. They literally feel exactly as they felt in the dream. It's not like anything I've ever felt before. My best friend died in a crash about 2 weeks later. Grandma dies not long after that. I took over the project he was working on before he died. I befriended some people that were working with him on this project. The project goes incredibly well, unnaturally so. Almost feels like I'm being fed lines on what to say to people to convince them to get on board. The new friends attract large numbers of supporters, get incredibly anxious feelings that my death is coming, become fixated on the idea that I'm going to die on my birthday. Driving home with my cousin on my birthday at about 3 a.m. His car runs out of gas, pulls off on the side of the road. Semis keep driving by while we wait for someone to bring us gas. Every time a truck drives by, I feel like I'm going to die. Esoteric indie rock music playing on the radio. Demons by Imagine Dragons comes on right after we get gas. Anxiety about dying goes away after this. During and after all of this, during the period of time just before falling asleep, I would sometimes experience sleep paralysis and an electric feeling in my head. Feel like I'll die if I fall asleep while in this state. I have to struggle to stay awake. Not long after my birthday, while in this state, I become flooded with memories. Memories become corrupted and evil, people screaming, dying. Mind goes black, but the sounds continue, hearing demonic laughter. Not asleep, but can't move. Begins to feel like something is trying to rip my consciousness soul out of my body through my head. Can literally feel myself floating above my body. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and can't move, feel cold air on my neck, sharp jabbing in my back, evil presence in the closet. Little flies sometimes come out of a hole in the ceiling of my closet. Bug infestation all throughout summer. When my dad went on holiday, it got 10 times worse. Second acquaintance faked his death. He hated me because the project that I took over hindered the success of a project that he was involved with. Start to feel guilty about his death. I've been getting awful, almost unbearable headaches for months. They also get 10 times worse. Feel as if I'm being watched intently. Thoughts are infiltrated by not dead acquaintance. Feel urged to off myself. Things get quite a lot better once my dad gets home. Sometimes receive cryptic messages and have no idea who the source is. Flesh installs waterfalls. Someone mails me a silkworm. Friends go to college. Project starts falling apart. Second friend offs himself for real a few months ago. Things start looking up again. Friends come back for winter break, and the project is successful again. Feel like certain people aren't what they appear to be. Sometimes feel as though a third party is talking through someone. Friends went back to college not long ago, but the project is encountering difficulties again. Have had 2 people during this time tell me that I'm largely responsible for them not taking their own lives, that I got them through hard times, etc. Please /x/ I know this is long. I just need help and IDK where to even start.
Go to God, please. Just pray for help and strength to get you through hard times. If you really pray and accept Him into your heart, you will find out everything is going to be all right. Do you have any books or occult items in your house?
I pray almost every day. I started praying when I was around 14, and almost immediately I went from having no friends and being disliked by pretty much everyone to having a very large circle of friends, a part-time job, and what felt like more competent social skills. I kept praying and maintained these friendships for about a year before they started to fall apart. I became a bitter, edgy atheist after, and started regurgitating whatever Dawkins said. This lasted for a couple years. Eventually, I stopped really arguing against God but didn't have the same faith either. I started praying again, and I started watching esoteric videos where this guy would explain the meanings of esoteric phrases and imagery, draw connections between imagery from different ancient cultures and modern cultures, and even match some of this imagery with the physical features of the earth itself. He claimed to be a Christian and said he wanted to warn people about the ambitions of the devil, fallen angels, Nephilim, Illuminati, etc. The videos were unlike most videos that you will find on YouTube, in that this guy could see things that seemed almost impossible to see without knowing that they were there. Not simple triangles either, but entire hidden scenes added to hieroglyphs, paintings, mountains, movie frames, etc., if you looked at them the right way. He'd match these things to scripture, mythologies, and religions of other cultures and tie it all together with complete clarity. Watching these videos caused me to believe very strongly in God. I feel as if God has been objectively proven to me to exist. I stopped watching these videos after I realized the potential dangers of knowing about the things that he was teaching. Most of these things happened after I stopped watching the videos, while praying every day and having complete faith in God.
I truly believe those two kids might be the reason you're in the state you're in. To be honest, I am a person who has an interest in the occult, but is smart enough not to mess with the whole summoning thing. But those kids seem to have an unhealthy obsession with it all.
This just happened to me. 5 hours ago, after a good long day chilling with my brother, really tired, so I fell asleep on the couch. The dreams are really weird. I don't remember just what happened, but very weird though. Just remember someone talking, saying a bunch of shit about me. It was essentially like in Dragon Age when you drink the blood and dream of someone terrorizing you. At that point, I woke up, only to feel a tremendous horror like I never felt before. I felt a huge presence of something evil. The whole atmosphere was static and felt just wrong. It's hard to explain, but I felt my own presence and several other duplicates of myself lined 4 arm lengths apart to the sides, front and back, and above and below me, all lined out in a massive presence that I felt surrounding me. I am basically in terror, shaking and breathing like a maniac. I walk around the house in distress while constantly thinking no one is there for me, as if they were suggested to me. I think about everyone that I love, and for the first time ever, I really miss them. I just wanted to not be alone at that point, but kept receiving thoughts that my loved ones are fed up with me, feel pathetic, alone and in panic as I walk into the kitchen where I gulp down some water. Brought my headphones and phone so I can listen to some music and try to forget about it all. Switch from song to song as I, distressed, try to find comfort and break the tense atmosphere. Nothing works. Music had no affect on me at all, and neither had anything else. I could only feel the same terror and indifference toward any other thing. This presence had a ball grip on me. Walk back into the living room where I had slept during these few hours of night terrors. Notice something that I had missed before, a chair pulled up by the couch, facing right for where I slept an arm length away. Who the hell pulled up the chair? TLDR. I think the devil is fucking with me.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.